Trying something new.
Dude, my ankle's so bad that when I put my foot up like this, it doesn't feel good.
Kind of looks like the back of a potato.
You don't need to say that about it.
Like a good-looking potato though.
Like a russet?
I'd say a solid russet. Like a fresh off the truck. They just put it. Yeah, they literally just put it on the produce stand. Just
Nice.
like the kind of russet I'd be happy to eat.
Are there other potatoes in russet?
Yes, red potatoes, golden potatoes.
Are there other, like, regular potatoes? You know what I mean? Or is russet the potato?
I think russet is the potato.
Like, if I'm eating a french fry, is it a russet french fry? I feel like.
Yeah, I've made golden fries before. Those are pretty good.
Where are those from? A golden potato?
Golden potato.
But you can't beat the classic russet.
I think your potatoes in there, like the frozen hash brown ones, I think those are goldens.
They're called golden.
I think it's because they're golden potatoes.
Oh, I just thought they were golden because they fried them in a lot of things and then they turned gold.
Golden crispy.
Or that they taste so good that they might as well be gold.
Might as well.
I had some of the best fries of my life last night.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Have you had those fries?
Of course. I've been there.
Well, listen, Scotty, I've never seen you eat a fry in your life. You know what I mean?
I made fries. I brought my fries with me to the restaurant. I ate my fries. Yeah, I ate my own fries there. Phenomenal.
They were some of the best fries of my life.
It's some of the best food in town, that's for sure.
I actually just remembered I have some. Completely forgot. I don't know if I put it in the fridge. But
Throw those in the air fryer with some eggs this morning.
Fries?
You never had fries and eggs?
No, I have. It sounds like not like that. That sounds really good though.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Honestly.
Should I air fry the eggs too? We should put full eggs in the air fryer and see what happens.
It hard boils them.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done it before. You just gotta watch them because
Oh,
there's a very fine line between those things fucking being hard boiled and coating the inside of your air fryer. I've ruined an air fryer doing that. We can try
They
it.
just explode.
They just pop just everywhere. It's kind of like if you put one in the microwave.
I usually do put them in the microwave.
Mm-hmm. And it's just because there's so much pressure that builds up on the inside of them and just
I was kidding, by the way, when I said that. I realized that seemed maybe not sorry. Do people put? Can you microwave a hard-boiled egg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was joking about that.
No, you can. I mean, it's not gonna be pretty if it explodes.
I mean, listen, dude. Nothing. I'm not pretty anyway. So.
Neither is our microwave.
Dude, what do we got?
Welcome to the day. First of all, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
I honestly didn't know Saturday until you said that to me.
You know, again, I feel like you didn't sleep very well last night. I, for some reason, didn't.
Well, I
sleep
slept
well.
great.
What's like? Let's talk about that really quick because we both have that phenomena. Love that word. And
Such a good one.
just a great word. Where you don't sleep a lot, but the more you sleep, the more tired and the more you feel terrible.
Meaning you overdo it.
Meaning you overdo it, or maybe you just woke up in the wrong part of the night.
Oh yeah, it just depends on the day. Sometimes you can wake up in the middle of REM.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And then like
It's
you
'cause
just can't go back.
We're on alarms, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, does your body adjust to your sleep schedule, or I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I was ready to wake up and my alarm went off, and I was at the end of a cycle. And sometimes I feel like that alarm just fucked me up.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I feel like a bag of potatoes, russet potatoes.
Russets. Yeah. I wouldn't even say a bag of russets because a bag. You don't want to insult a bag of russets. You can insult like a bag of like those little like stew potatoes, those little itty bitty guys.
I mean, I've never seen them. Yeah, I have. I was gonna say a bag of russets. I've seen them.
Yeah. They sell them for like $5 a
That's a
Walmart.
commitment, dude.
Dude, that's a good deal.
But what does a man do with that many potatoes?
That's a guy who's eating a lot of potatoes.
I'm known for I love potatoes, but I'm the classic buy two potatoes. One of them's growing a new potato at some point.
There's actually a potato diet. Do you know that? Where you eat nothing but potatoes.
You told me this.
It's freaking insane.
I could do that.
Penn and Teller, the magicians in Vegas, one of them did it, and he lost like 85 pounds. Magicians.
Okay, but that's cheating because
He's
he
a
was
magician.
using magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some way.
He could have gotten jacked off a vegan diet. You know what I mean?
Dude, if you're doing that, that's more than magic. That's sorcery.
Just throw shade like that.
That's sorcery right there.
Listen,
That's called a liar.
any excuse for me to dish on vegan.
Yeah, that's a liar right there.
I'm kidding. If you're vegan out there, a little. I was joking a tiny bit.
Eat some meat.
Yeah, go eat a steak.
Maybe
Maybe some eggs.
Eat some steak.
Eat something from an animal.
Just eat something that has a little bit of depth to it. You'll be okay.
have a latte with some real milk.
Have a latte.
Have a latte.
You
By the
got
way,
it.
this whole koala tea thing, like I have, it's still fresh in my mind.
It's just going for
It's
you.
the only thing I think about every day.
I mean, that's
It's why I haven't gotten work done. It keeps cycling in my brain.
Well, you're just a quality guy.
Quality. I'm
Yeah.
a quality guy.
Yeah.
What do we got?
So today I wanted to talk
Because
about.
I ran out.
Yeah. Today I want to talk about, well, going off quality. I feel like people need to value themselves more. I feel like not enough people see their own value, and I feel like not enough people really understand what they bring to the table, and so they'll A, underprice themselves, B, not see themselves to their full potential, and C, through doing that, going and kind of playing off confidence yesterday but not going that deep into it, they start to lose hope in themselves because they don't, have that drive.
They feel worthless.
Exactly. Somebody sitting there right now feeling like this, what would be your first bit of advice to them?
Well, for starters, in just what I said, I just realized that feeling worthless sounds pretty terrible, but it really just is a lack of value. I'd say most people don't know they're valuable, rather than like a lack of confidence is essentially the same thing, I guess. It's just not understanding, not appreciating yourself, but I think something must have happened for that confidence to be lost, whereas someone who doesn't know their value just really doesn't know. They've never realized it, or like they don't know their gift. I'd say that's a good place to start. It's like, again, I think the concept that we used before, it's like, what are you really good at with the least amount of effort? That's your gift. And then it's like, how can you bring value with it? But at the same time, it's like, everyone's valuable to someone. And we also talk, dude, we podcast so much, everything's a duplicate of what we've said. But you are one of the most valuable people in the world to somebody. So like, everyone's valuable in their own way, but I think, I thought you were gonna like get up and leave. I thought what I was saying.
I hated that answer.
No, I think it's just self-reflection, and I think anyone struggles with that. Like, even me, like I know what I'm valuable at, but I still struggle in like what to do with it. So I think whether you're not, what makes you valuable, it's like you just take the self-reflection, either figure it out or figure out like what to do with it.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm tired.
And then playing off of that, I would say, what's keeping people from starting?
Starting
Anything. Like what keeps people like
fear.
Fear, and where do you think the fear stems from most of the time?
Maybe doubt. Maybe something someone told them. I think a lot of the time it's what someone told them. Parent. Like, right, say someone really wants to, we're going to use the classic example. Say someone wants to be a YouTuber. A good reason they might not be starting is because somebody told them they need to go to college, and they needed this, and they needed that, and they didn't think for themselves, and so now they're just scared to do that. Or they're scared of the criticism, or they're scared of getting made fun of. It's just like usually fear-based. I feel like if people aren't starting, or like we talk about it a lot, it's over-planning. People who are more of a planner than an executor, and so they over-plan and never execute because they think they can plan it all out before, and then it's just planning and planning and planning and planning, and it's like, well, it's not perfect yet, and then it's just never perfect, and they never do it.
And you just said the word that I was looking for is perfect, and perfectionism, and the fact that perfectionism isn't a real thing. I really don't believe anybody is like, this just has to be perfect before I send it. Like, I don't believe that's a real thought. I believe that perfectionism is fear. Perfectionism is just fear, because
Fear of lack of.
Yeah. Like, it's just, I just think that perfectionism is such a stupid word, because nothing you've done in your life is perfect. So you hunting for that, it's not going to come.
Have you seen my YouTube channel?
I mean, that is...
Have you watched one of my YouTube videos?
Is pretty flawed. And,
so the word's flawless.
No, I got stuck, and I'm just going to leave it there. But, it's, just perfectionism is I hate that word. When someone's like, I'm a perfectionist, I'm like, no, you're scared. What?
Everyone's classic job interview.
Yeah.
What's your worst trait?
Yeah.
Gotta say, I'm a perfectionist.
Be like, no, you're scared to do work.
And honestly, the guy's like, you know what? That is a terrible trait.
Yeah.
Good point. That we can't have that. Here.
Exactly, because I mean, if you're a perfectionist, when somebody tells me they're a perfectionist, I literally can look at you and say, you get nothing done.
I think the word perfectionist has kind of changed. Like, I think what happened was the connotation got lost along the way, where like a lot of people just mean they have like OCD. It's like, being a perfectionist, there's people, like you said, who will not start things. And like you said, that is a flaw. I just think a lot of people just say, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
They just they're
I mean,
nitpicky, and that's what they're using.
But is it the fear of being, I guess, in control of the situation? Is it the fear of being, having everything done correctly? Because wouldn't that go back to fear of having everything done exactly how it's supposed to be and having everything done? So
I mean, dude, if you want to tap my knee like that, just to keep it more intimate.
Just letting you know we're here.
Because as if the pod doesn't get intimate enough.
Exactly. We're sitting a little further away today.
I think in the regard of how I think people traditionally mean it, no, I don't think it's fear-based. I just think it's like the overachiever has to be overplanned. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. Mm-hmm. I think OCD doesn't really bring any good. Like, I have pretty OCD.
Yeah.
And it's usually just like, I feel compulsed, that's a word, I think, to do things that I just really don't need to do. I just feel like I need to do them. So I feel like, I don't know, I've never, like, OCD, I always try to, see, I wonder if OCD, it keeps me cleaner, for what?
Yeah.
Like, I could be clean without it. I could be clean without the compulsion to need to be clean. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't think anything with OCD is good. I'm not defending that it's good. I just think it's less severe than, someone who is a real, true perfectionist and is just missing out because they're... I think, in my mind, perfection, the striving for perfection is just directly correlated with a failure to execute. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
See that?
And that's like an excuse they use of I'm just a perfectionist. Everything needs to be so good before I put it up, mm-hmm. but I don't ever put it up because it's not good yet.
Do you think it's also the fact that they haven't tried enough to really see if it works, and so the perfectionism line is it needs to be perfect.
They haven't tried at all.
Exactly.
Usually.
And so it's you can't really expect perfection on your first try either.
Yeah.
And so you're literally just giving
your last try.
So I feel like it's just a cop out. It's just.
I agree.
It's something to
fear.
say.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's 100% fear based.
Yeah.
It's just that perfectionism is this weird twist on the issue they're facing. Mm-hmm. It's a good excuse to say, oh no, I just haven't done this yet because I'm a perfectionist. It needs to be perfect. It's
mm-hmm.
In reality, that's not a good thing. You just can't. You're not trying anyway. You're scared to try. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I always tell people, it's if you are a perfectionist, great. If you need to figure it out, and maybe you're telling the truth, maybe the one in a million that really is a perfectionist, great. How about you do it and then be a perfectionist while you're doing it, and that execution will go a long way. Because mm-hmm. the same thing is putting in reps. It's if you have some guy who researches fitness for a year straight and then starts, and you have another guy who was researching fitness while he was actually doing it.
Or not even researching it, just going in and trial and error.
Or trial and error. But let's just say he was researching it and doing it. Okay. He's gonna be years further than the other person. And I think the only reason I say that is because people forget I think people who are like that think that if they start, they now no longer have the time to perfect it.
Yeah.
Just what is that? It doesn't make no sense.
And I think a big one is not looking at end result so heavily, where it's it has to be like this in order to be good for me, in order to be what I'm looking for, what I'm striving for. And one of my, I think I coined it, but somebody could have said it out there.
I will give it to you.
Is too many people look at life like a puzzle, mm-hmm. and the problem with that is there's a lot of pieces, mm-hmm. but at the end you can only have one picture. And I think that's the dumbest bit of advice anybody could ever give you, is saying treat your life like a puzzle and just put the puzzle pieces together. I think you need to look at life like Legos, where you can
create what you want.
You're gonna have a thing that has directions on it, sure, and you can start with that. But let's say you get halfway through, you could be missing a couple pieces. You could have all the pieces, but decide you don't like what you're building. Mm-hmm. You could have different colors, different shapes. You don't know. The beauty about Legos is once you break it down and you throw away the directions, you can build whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And it's just go into it like that, where it's there doesn't have to be a perfect. It doesn't have to look a certain way at the end, because at the end of it, if you're happy with it and it ultimately works for you, it works. But there's also no end. I think we got to ditch the fact that, well, once I get to this end goal, it's going to feel a certain way.
It's going to finish the puzzle.
You're never going to finish. You shouldn't want to finish.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because when you're finished and you let's say and we see it a lot with people who build giant companies and stuff like that. They put together a company and they build it, and then it's this thing that's constantly keeping them going, and then they sell it, and it's this it's amazing, like congratulations, like you exited, but now there's no more cash flow, there's no fires to put out, nothing's happening, and the person just gets depressed.
And you're bored.
And you're bored. There's nothing to do, and so
I would
all
say
of the
in that
stress
regard,
is worth it.
That's probably the closest version of finishing a puzzle. It's like exiting company, where it's like. I think where people go wrong is to think that life is one puzzle. Like, life is a lot of puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Lego idea because it shows creativity and like freedom, and no one's puzzle's the same. That's the problem. A puzzle entails someone else could have done the same puzzle, and the puzzle is the same for everyone. So I think it's just like, you're right. The Lego idea is great, and whether there's a manual for something you're building in Legos, like. You can complete something, but as soon as you complete it, you're gonna be bored. You're gonna, what's the next puzzle?
Put it on the shelf.
The bigger puzzle. And so, I don't know, I feel like that's almost off tangent from what your point was like, yeah, people feel like they need to know everything in the manual before they start. It's like, there's no manual.
Yeah.
Just start and figure it out. And yeah, people are just scared. I hate saying people. I don't like the people thing where it's like a looking down on them. You guys are all scared. Like, we've all been there.
You peasants.
We've all been there in some regard, and it's
We're still there.
I think the important thing too is something I've learned this year is like, there's always a contrary. Like, there's always another side of the coin where it's like, if you have a couple things you want to start and you have like a very valid reason for why you don't want to start it, that's also okay.
Exactly.
And I think when you get caught up in these principles that we like, these big concepts and realizations, it's hard to like remember that might not work in every scenario. So it's like, I've been in that where I'm like, Jordan, like, you are not starting this based on fear, where it's like, no, I'm not starting it maybe because it's going to allocate too much of my time to something else or this. Like, there might be a real reason you're not starting it. But I think if it's something that you don't think you have a reason not to, I tell everyone, I'm like, just start it and figure it out along the way.
And I also think, like, there's nothing that says you have to commit to it forever. I think that's another thing that I talk to a lot of people about is they're in something and it might just not be working for them, but they've been in it for 3 years or something like that, and they're like, it's just not going. And then when I break it down, I'm like, well, you have two options. One, I can see it working, but we have to change things, and a lot of people don't want to change. And so it's like, there's one option. If you want to change it, we can change it, and then it's going to start to go the way you want to. Second, if you want to stay in your ways, you have to kill it. You have to move on to something completely different, or else you're going to be stuck in the mud. So my bit of advice there would be, if you're trying something for a long time and it's not going forward and it's not moving, and that's why I think data is such a good thing, is looking back and saying, have I made progress? Because even like the smallest bit of progress, as long as you stack it and double down on it, is good. If you're not moving and there's no logical reason to stay in it, and your only reason is staying in it because you said you were going to start it, that's not enough of a reason.
That's huge.
It's not enough of a reason to waste your time.
2 years ago, I started streaming. Got a whole podcast set up, or a whole streaming set up. Started streaming on like YouTube, Twitch, all these things. And I'm one of those people that, like, when I start something, I feel like I need to finish it.
Same.
And so I started streaming, and I invested all this money, and then I invested my time into it. So now my time is looped in. And I got to a point one day where I was like, I don't like this. Like, sitting in my room is not for me. And I was like, I had this huge realization one day where I was like, I felt this pressure to continue. Like, I owed it to myself to keep going. Because I don't like quitting things. I'm not a quitter. And I learned that, like, I actually talked about this in maybe an old YouTube video or something, but it's like, if you get too caught up in having to finish everything you started, it will become toxic.
100%.
Like, if something is not beneficial to you, drop it.
Exactly.
You have to learn to drop it, and that time invested isn't lost time. You learned something. And it's so counterintuitive, because in the contrary, it's like we are all aware that you should finish things you started. A lot of us are taught at a young age to finish what you started. And I think it's just something that's conceptual that we might be taking too literal in our lives. And it's like, it's okay to quit sometimes. It's okay to quit when the long term isn't necessary.
Especially if it's hurting you.
100%.
And I think that's like, I think one of the best, like, ways of thinking about it is, Pastor Travis talks about this a lot, and I agree with him 100%, is you look at like out in like the tribes out in like Africa and stuff like that, where they're like they have to live off the land. They've learned that there's these monkeys that live out there, and the way that they eat is they have to eat, or the way they survive is they have to eat these monkeys, and they don't really have any weapons. Like these monkeys are too fast, and so what they've done is they take coconuts and they tie a string around them, and then they drill a hole in it. They put like a piece of candy or something in the coconut with a little hole, and they just leave it out and they leave. And what the monkey does is the monkey will come up, find the candy, whatever it is, stick his hand in there and grab it. But when he closes his fist, he can't get his hand out. And so monkeys, being the kind of things that they are, he doesn't know that the only thing he has to do is let go of the candy and run.
Yeah.
So these monkeys go in and grab this candy or whatever, and they get stuck in there.
Freaking out,
and they freak out, and they get tired because all they're doing is holding the candy. And all this dude has to do is walk back over, hit it with a stick, and it's dead.
Oh God.
But my point in this is, are you holding on to something so tightly in such a stupid move, and it's not benefiting you, it's only dragging you back, and you're just killing yourself by holding this thing? And you have to be very honest with yourself and go, this is not good for me, I have to let it go. And it's a hard thing to do, but the beauty in that is once you let it go, it frees you up to do so much more.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and so don't be the monkey with your hand in the coconut. If it's not working, there's more candy out there.
I just love the example when you word it. Don't be the monkey in the coconut.
Don't be the monkey with the coconut.
Don't be that stupid little fucking monkey.
Be the monkey to let go of the candy.
Facts.
You know?
You think there was a monkey that figured it out? He was like, I don't need the candy, and he was like, oh, I'm free.
Or they didn't tie the rope hard enough, and he just like ran off with the coconut, and he's still running around
And
with
he
the
still
coconut.
has
He's still
it.
holding it.
He's never gotten it.
He's just running with the coconut on his
Hey,
hand.
that's even better example. This guy just his whole life thought he had a coconut, but all he needed to do is.
This dude's just a badass. That's the guy who like took the negative situation and just ran with it.
He runs the whole drive.
Exactly.
He's literally just the coconut.
Yeah,
hand.
exactly. Like,
that's our boss.
They're just like looking at him. They're like, man, that guy's gonna have that candy someday.
Anyone freaks out on him, he just gets punched with a coconut. And then one day the coconut breaks, and he's no longer the tribe leader. Wow.
But he's got the candy.
No, I think that's huge, dude. I think, again, it goes back to what we've talked about before. It's like there's some principles where you have to be aware of the other side of it. Mm-hmm. It's like, these are principles that are not meant to be taken. Any principle of life is really not meant to be taken 100%. There's always exceptions. There's always a contrary. And so it's like, that's one of those things where it's tough. It's like, all you know is finishing. Well, not me, obviously, but
I finished too quick.
My coffee's cold. And you lose sight of the fact that actually might be harming you. Mm-hmm. And it's tough, man. It's just like, how do you know when something isn't it, you know? Mm-hmm. Because on the other thing, it's like, okay, you said someone's business is like something's stale, something's not working. There's also the massive principle where people have impatience. So, yeah, people have impatience. That's a weird sentence.
People are impatient.
So it's like, there's got to be this spectrum where it's like there's people who don't wait long enough, and then they learn this concept, and they're like, you know what? I do need to give up. When in reality, they just learned the wrong concept at the wrong time, and they really just needed to wait it out 3 more years and be more patient.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's this tough thing, and you have to be really honest with yourself and figure out, like, I can just imagine that being a huge problem.
But that's where I say, like, being honest with yourself and looking at data. You know, you have to collect that, and like that's it. And most people don't want to do it because they don't want to sacrifice the time and the headache of looking over the data and really breaking it down. Like, are we making like moves? Are like, because you can't project everything. Like, there could be a catastrophic thing that happens. There could be, you know, a pandemic. There could be anything that happens that like throws your plan off a little bit. But you can pretty much bet on yourself pretty well. Like, if you have like everything set up originally, like you can get a pretty good grasp of something and say, hey, if we just change this little thing, it's gonna probably work in our favor. You know, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's gonna work in our favor. And then there also is that like aspect of it where you kind of look at it and you go, well, you know, what if this fell apart here, or what if this doesn't happen? Then you have another plan to shift. Yeah. And that's why I say keep looking at it like Legos, because let's say you get to one of these barrier points where it's like you've been making progress up until here, and then you just like plateaued. You always have to have that little magic pill in the back of your pocket that pushes it a little bit and just gets the needle going. It's the same in fitness, and it's the same in like, you know, like health and putting on mass and taking off mass. It's like we're all going to plateau because your body adapts. And that's why, you know, when a true professional coach will be changing your stuff as he sees needed. You know, if you're changing everything weekly, you can't get the data. But also, if you're not changing it enough, you're also not going to see anything. But, you know, you need to have those little things that, like, when your body stalls, you need to be able to jumpstart it. And so it's, you know, it's incorporating a refeed. Or maybe we have to drop calories a little more. Maybe we have to, you know, increase cardio a little bit.
Night sprints
That fuck up ankles. It's like, you need little things like that that you can pull out at the last minute and keep everything going. So,
I agree.
and I think people just need to take a little bit more time to analyze and figure out. But going back to the perfectionism thing, don't overanalyze. Like,
again, there's just always a
there's always a
side.
caveat,
It's
and the
crazy.
grass is always greener on the other side, but the grass is always greener where you water it as well.
It's a good concept.
So if you really want,
Or just get turf.
you can get turf too. Just artificial, just fake it till you make it, I guess. You really just kind of have to put and double down on whatever you're trying to do, and I think that's like the biggest thing I would get across to people is, if you're going to do something, don't half-ass it and don't have a lot of stuff on your mind. You know, if you're gonna start something, like, you could have a lot going on, but if you're gonna start something, put everything you have into that one thing for a while, just to see.
Yeah.
But there's also nothing wrong with having multiple things going on at once.
I heated my coffee up, and this is my last sip, so bear with me.
It's gonna be a hot sip. No? Warm sip?
It was warm, lukewarm.
sip.
The Biscoff latte is such an incredible creation.
That's an interesting one.
Calorically, though, like, that's 200 calories ish of Biscoff,
Biscoff.
and you long for more.
It's a
So it's
scary
like,
part.
to get it at the right amount, and you're looking at just 300 calories of just the sweetener.
My issue is peanut butter. I always have that issue with peanut butter where I'll be like, I'm just gonna have a taste. Just gonna have a taste. And so I'll take like a fork, and my trick is I'll dip the fork in it, take it out, whatever's on the fork, I'll eat it. Just because, like, it's so calorically dense. That was my cut. That's cutting me.
Do you ever
And-
pray that, like, you get a good sticky fork? Like,
All
please
the time.
pick up so
Or,
much.
like, my favorite thing is, like, because I always take, like, a fresh jar of peanut butter, and people don't know this. If you have oil, like the ones that have oil, all you have to do is turn it upside down.
Okay.
And keep it upside down,
Oil
and
just
all the oil
seeps
goes to the
up.
top. And so then, like, after like a day, you turn it back over, and you can spin it like with a fork, and it like all the oil goes in instead of having like oil in the bottom. Anyway,
Or
besides
you
the
just
point.
buy Skippy all natural and there's no oil.
Or you can do that and eat shit. But you know, real peanut butter.
I said all natural.
But what I used to do is I would turn it upside down, and I'd leave it there, and then when I wanted some, I would turn it upside down and put it down on the counter and wait about 20 minutes. Whatever was on the lid is what I was allowed to have.
Oh my god.
And so that was my little cheat. Is like what, and there'd be days where I'd go in there and I'd be like, I'm so excited for this, and I'd take it out. There'd be like nothing on the lid. I'd be like,
Me and Scotty differ a lot in this world.
Yeah.
Where I differ is I look at my calories like a cap, you know? To me, it's like, if I want a lot of peanut butter, it's great.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Every bite of peanut butter is just a lot less actual food I get to eat later in the
Yeah.
day. I'm just like, all right, I'm really craving peanut butter right now. Great. I'm gonna eat 500 calories of peanut butter, and now I have 1,500 calories left and all this protein that I'm fucked.
for me, I just hit protein first. That's what I try to capitalize on. It's like, because if I get all my protein in the beginning of the day, it allows me to do whatever the fuck I want later on. And so it's like, I'll hit as much protein as I can, try to hit my 160 grams by noon. So then it's just, if I want carbs and fats at night, just buckle down on ice cream and whatever I want. But I'm also one of those guys who's so health conscious that I'll get my protein in, and then I'll just be like,
Nah.
I think I want more protein. Like, just, like, and so I'll have, 200 grams of protein, 250 grams of protein every day, and I'm just like, but like we were saying before we cut, I'm also one of those guys that, I've been doing it for so long, and I still struggle with it. I still
Yeah.
struggle to hold myself to hitting my goal once in a while, and then you get in like a rut, and then you have to pull yourself out. And I think that people need to realize that even if you're really good at something, and even if you're like a coach, you still have coaches. And I was talking to like one of my mentors yesterday. I went to lunch with him, and he was almost like shocked that I pay to have coaches in my life. And I like, it shouldn't surprise you. Like any
No.
successful person.
You're also really young too.
I am very young, and
I've got like a gift to coach, but you still definitely need coaching.
100%.
Yeah.
Like in every aspect. And, and it's a cool accountability piece where if you're going to get good at something, I really believe you have to pay to play.
Yeah.
And like the more you're invested into something, the more you're going to take it seriously. And so one thing I would tell everybody is if you're really trying to make some moves in your life, invest something into it that's more than just your time. Invest something that's very valuable to you, or give somebody your word on something and make sure that they hold you to it. So it's like, at the end of this, if we get to this date and I don't have my goal, I can't do this, or I have to give you that, or I have to do something, because the more pain you can attach to something of not doing it, because I believe in rewarding yourself, but I do believe pain is more of a driving force than anything, where it's like, I am going to lose something if I don't do it. I think that's more of a...
It's more incentive.
Exactly.
It's like a more burning incentive. Something you just said reminded me of a new tangent we should take.
What's tangent?
What amount of money do you think around? It's going to be very rough, and it's going to differ from person to person depending on what you do, but like, at what point does a person has enough money that they're... Like, I think people get into investing way too early. Like, they haven't even made $100,000 and they're investing. It's like, invest all that in yourself. Like, what do you do?
Yep.
Don't be like me and invest your entire fortune in yourself, but hey, just don't take notes from me. But at what point do you have enough money where you're like, all right, we're too wealthy to just invest in ourselves, now we can start investing? Like, in my head, for me, it'd be like, it'd be a lot. I only dabbled in investments for fun. I never really did it for real. So it's like, I feel like for me, it'd be like $500,000 liquid, where I'm just like, okay, I have this money. What do I do with it? I could put it into my business, my brand, or I could invest it. I feel like that's a turning point where you're like, I have too much money for myself. I need this. Now it's time to start investing as like an actual part of my business.
I think it depends on the investment more than anything. I do believe that your first investment should always be in yourself. I will 100% sign my name, X that out every single time. Like, your first investments should just be pouring money into yourself, learning, networking, getting to places. Whatever it takes, like, double down on yourself and put as much money as you can into yourself. I would say, if we're looking into like real estate and stuff like that, I think a general rule of thumb, if you really want to make money with your money, you should have your living expenses times 2. So
before you invest.
So you should have whatever it would take for, because we talked about this yesterday. In order to make a lot of money investing, you kind of have to have a lot of money to invest. You can, because you can invest you can invest right now. Like, you can start investing, and I say, like, start investing right now. Try to put $500 aside every single month and put it into something that grosses 10% a year, and just put it there. Just let it grow. But as you start to like get better and make more money, increase that number. And so keep living the way you're living, but just increase your investment into that account. So let's say you went from making $150,000 a year to $200,000 a year. Still live the exact same, but take that difference and invest that. Just keep living below your means, so then just let that thing keep stacking and growing. Take it out of a bank account, put it into something that's actually going to grow and actually going to sustain and move, because bank accounts aren't going to give you any return on your money. But
they give you like 0.001%. Okay?
You're 36 cents per year.
It's worth it.
Down payment on a pack of gum.
Not bad.
But, I do believe that really, to be successful in investing, have yourself a merry little Christmas. Have yourself 1 year's living expenses times 2. That way that you can live on, if everything fell apart, you'd have 1 year of living expenses, but then take that secondary living expense and throw that into investments and diversify it.
So where I'm confused now, because where my question lied, in your method, we have invested 0 back into ourselves.
What do you mean?
Well, we took half of our income, we put it in our living expenses, we took the other half and we invested it.
I'm saying saving wise. Save up the money before you invest. So you have 2 years of living expenses. While you're doing this, letting that grow, letting your net, letting all that stuff kind of build and doing the 10% every year before you get into a real investment.
I see. Just put money away.
Exactly. Put money away and let that grow, and then take that lump sum and then diversify it. So it's then you have something in real estate, you have something in stock, you have something in, if you want to do NFTs and crypto, if you want to angel invest, if you want to do these kind of things. Make sure that you have enough to diversify, where because if you throw one thing into one thing, or if you throw all of it into one thing and that thing crumbles, it's over.
Yeah.
Split it up. So it's like, if you see a lot of value in here, put 20%, another 20%, maybe 30%, maybe whatever that looks like for you. And it's just some financial planning at that point, where it's going to be a lot of different things to watch, but that's how you create real wealth, is because if one of them, they're not all going to work. If they all work, great, but they're not all going to work all at the same time. But if one's going up while one's going down, it's completely fine because you're net positive at the end of the day.
No, I agree with you. I just think I was trying to be more specific in like investing in yourself,
Yeah.
in your business, rather than investments. Like that's a good rule of thumb for investments, but it's like
Are you talking like investing in yourself as in learning?
anything in your business. So your brand, your business, your work.
Oh, dude, fucking start with $5.
So my point is like, for example, one of the things I learned was like I had spent all my money on my career. I probably could have put some of that. One thing I will say is everyone should put money away. That's
Yes.
one thing I learned. I should have put some money away and not considered it investing, but just put it in
Safety
something that appreciates that like you have a piece of your income.
Safety fund.
Yeah, a safety fund, correct. Now, with that being said, the rest of my money I could have invested in anything. I could have put it in stocks. I could have put it in all these things you're talking about, but instead I just threw it all back into my business because my business cost money to run. I think like in YouTube, typically, if you put more money in, it's a smarter outcome. Like I think if you don't need to be Mr. Beast, but like there are a lot of cool things you can do that cost money for your career. And I think if that could be anyone, that could be channels that do videos on the most random shit. There's still a way to invest in yourself financially. And so my real specific question was like, where do you draw the line between having so much money that now you like? I think people invest too early, and they should be putting all that money into themselves.
Well, I think we're kind of, there's a split in understanding on my end. Are you talking like investing in yourself, like camera gear, travel, like really like your personal brand, like
No,
to
not
drive yourself
travel
forward?
if you're a YouTuber, but I mean like just the things that will increase the success of your business,
You're
not
saying-
your life. Your
I know, but
business.
you're saying like when should you start doing that?
No.
That was
Okay, I got this.
what amount of money?
At what amount? Okay, so I think everyone should invest in themselves. If you're making $100,000 a year,
Yeah.
don't fucking invest your money. Like, invest in yourself.
Yes.
There's no point to invest your money. You don't have enough money yet to not be investing in your personal brand. Invest it in yourself. And like I said, put money away. Great. At what point, though, then would you say that people have enough money where they should then, like you have too much for YouTube, let's say. I just need money to travel. I need money for some videos, concepts. I need money maybe if I want to like outsource some editing. I want to outsource some stuff that I don't want to do. But then if I make a couple $1 million hypothetically in a year, I have way too much money to fund that. So now I need to start investing. So my question is, I've been listening to a lot of people recently. Sorry, it's getting really confusing I guess now, but a lot of people who say like that concept of like invest in yourself first. I was wondering like what do you think is a good time, a good amount of money where you're like, all right, maybe I should start investing in actual investments, stocks, crypto, real estate, whatever it is. And I guess this question is just super generalized, but it's just like, I don't know, I just want to get your opinion on that.
I don't think there is a number that I could just say that is like go now. Like I think you have to look at it and go, all right, I can still live the life that I'm living. I can still be creating the content I want to create. I can still keep myself the exact same and still be putting out quality content. Maybe I hire an editor, maybe I do this, maybe I do that. And I still have a chunk of change that's sitting here. And you're comfortable and you're like, I've got extra money.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's time to invest the rest of that. Because at that point you have enough to keep investing in yourself. You have enough that'll keep rolling over, but then you have that little bit extra that's just kind of here.
Yeah.
It's like take that and start diversifying it. So it's like you still have your investments in yourself going, but now you have this little bit extra over here that you can go, okay, I'm gonna play with it. This here, this here, this here.
I feel like you'd run into a decision though where it's like you have the option then to then fund that in your business extra.
You
It's
have
like-
the option, but you have to kind of go, and that's where the data comes in, and that's where you start to look at yourself and you look at your business. It's like, what's the net negative versus the net positive here? If I take this money and I put it into myself and I put it back into my business, all of it, will the quality really change things in a drastic way, or am I still going to be climbing at the same rate just with better?
Is the return
whatever.
higher in the
Exactly.
investment world or in my personal brand?
Exactly, and also if you put it into the investment world, and it goes back to looking at both sides of it. If you can see yourself 10xing your money in investments, then that's just more money you could filter back to yourself.
True.
So you just arc it back over, and so you kind of have to look at it. So it's like, if the investment is a smart move, go with the investment move,
Yeah.
and if you have the money for the investment move, go with the investment moves.
Sure.
But if you don't have that clarity of that moving, but you have the clarity that if I just keep dumping money into my personal brand, I'm going to keep growing. Just keep dumping it back into yourself until you have that confidence of saying, okay, I have enough here that I'm growing, but I can also now, let my life play itself out and have these investments.
Yeah, I think in every business there's a certain point at which, per business, like it depends on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. There's a certain point where the scale tips and it's like there's so much money that it's counterproductive. It's like, all right, because you can't run everything with money. I'm not saying money fuels your business completely. It just helps in scale.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a point where you can't just keep throwing more and more and more money into a business to scale it more and more, depending on what it is. If it's like merchandise, you actually probably can. Running ads, blah, blah, blah. But if it's like something personalized, like YouTube, where it's almost a more like figurative brand, where you don't really know, you're just dumping money into different aspects of your brand. Mm-hmm. It's not like a specific company, then it's like, I think there does come a point where it's like, all right, I have so much money that this isn't gonna, I just gotta keep throwing money at my business isn't gonna bloom, right? Exactly. Like YouTube's a good point of that. It's like, people don't watch YouTube because of how much money you spend unless you're Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm making millions a year, just because I throw more and more money in, it's not like it's going to scale proportionately, where I could take $1 million, $2 million of that dollars, invest it, and have a much higher return, because that return is way more, I just broke. Just way more insane than the return would be on my personal life.
I think it's just at that point it's fun money.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have enough money to just like, we'll just use the YouTube example for instance. Like if you have enough money to just travel and live your life and do everything you want to do, and just keep growing that brand where it's like you just do crazier and crazier shit, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I think at that point you also have enough there that you can live that life and still have your investments. And I think that once you get to that level, investment opportunities come to you.
Yeah,
and so you have people that reach out and say like, hey, I've got this company starting, you can make this. And then it's almost like a Shark Tank scenario where it's, you can look at it and you're now just collecting pieces of people's businesses, you're collecting pieces of opportunity, you're collecting, opportunities to start your own brand and do, like, a great example is Logan Paul. Logan Paul started as just a kid on Vine or whatever, and made his way up and kept growing and growing, and you saw that his content evolved and he started hiring better editors and this and that and this and that, and then got to the point where it was like, okay, cool, now I have to branch myself into a podcast, I have to branch myself into this, and he started investing his money still into his personal brand, but it's more of an investment opportunity. Mm-hmm. And then it was, okay, now he's going to go and do the trading card stuff. Okay, he's investing into that. That's an investment. It might not look like it, but it is an investment.
It's a dual investment. Yeah,
exactly.
Content and it's a real investment.
Exactly. And so you're looking at it like that, and then it goes, okay, now he has a physical product where he has Prime. And so it's little opportunities and things like that. And he's probably doing things that we wouldn't even know.
He's probably got equity in companies he's not even a part of.
Exactly.
A lot of companies.
Because when you get to that size, you have a team that literally does all that stuff for. Like your manager is literally doing all this stuff and just getting your approval.
And his connections and his friends are going to come to him for funding all the time.
Exactly.
And he's going to put money.
Exactly. And so his investment bubble is just growing, and he would have to do something very stupid for it all to go to zero. Yeah. But also, once you get to that level and you understand it, it's very easy to make money. That's why these billionaires can get to a certain level and everything crumbles, and they're back up to billions in a year because they know how to fund it. They know how to get the funding. They know how to bring it back. Exactly. And that's why I'd say, more than anything, if you're going to invest your time into doubling down on meeting as many people as you can, and making as much connection as you can, networking as much as you can. And I got called out yesterday by my mentor because I called it networking. And I don't think you should network, and I think you should network in the sense of the word, but I think you should build friendships. Build relationships, build friendships, because if you can double down on the people you know and really put in as much effort as you can to make people's lives better in every aspect of it, and do whatever you can to make other people succeed, you will be successful.
Yeah, we were talking about a company I wanted to start a while ago, and I was making a list of just prospects, people that could genuinely benefit from it. And I realized that I don't like networking because I'm one of those people where it's like everything's a balance. Like my work-life balance is played out. Like I could work a lot harder. Just don't want to. I know my goals. I know what's realistic for me to get there. I know the minimum amount of work I need to do to get there, and I value that work-life balance. And the same thing is with networking, where it's like I skipped out on that. Like, I'm missing out on it. Great. I could go to LA. I could go to all these events. I know these people. I get invited to shit all the time. Those relationships to me would be beneficial, but I don't care. I value the list of people I have that are genuine people I could call up tomorrow for a favor, who are high-level people, and that it's a multi-beneficial relationship, and the relationship exists without the benefit. Most of those people, we've never really benefited from each other. It's just we know we could. And I think that's so much more valuable. Like, networking is such a surface level thing where it's almost using each other.
It is, and that's why I say looking at friendships more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, anybody I work with, I make sure that they're a friend first,
Yeah.
and I make that very abundantly clear that if we're going to work together, there's a separation piece.
Sure.
Where when we're working, we're working. When we're not, and I've fucked that up multiple times in my life. Where I've been very good friends with people. We've started something, and then it got a little dicey and a little shaky, and the friendship took a step back. And I will never do that again because I learned that lesson. But I do believe that we need other people to grow, and the best thing you can do is know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And even if it's not, you're super, super close to them, being able to provide a value to them in any aspect that they need it, I think is just huge. And then when you find those people that you truly vibe with, those are the people that you would just do whatever they need at any moment. That's why the end of my conversations, you normally hear me. It's like, whatever you need, let me know.
Yeah.
Just reassure them. Whatever you need, let me know.
Even if you reach out and ask somebody for something, let them know, hey, whatever you need, I got you.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean that.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I really love about myself is that I do back that word up.
Yeah.
Every time is whatever you need, I've got your back.
Yeah.
And if I can't figure it out, I will figure out a way to help you figure it out.
And at least I'll try.
Yeah, 100%.
I think if you were to hypothetically let's say you had lists, right? You had a list of people. And one person had a list of friends who are also high-level friends, connections, people that value each other. And the other person had a list of people they met networking. Most of the people who met networking probably won't vouch for each other on a personal level because it's just an equal exchange of use, right? It's an exchange.
Yeah.
So it's they don't even know someone that deep anyway to be able to vouch for them. And that would honestly be a liability because why would you vouch for someone you don't know that well?
Exactly.
Whereas this list of friends that are high level, all those people I would vouch for and I do all the time and they would do the same. And it's that is such a powerful relationship that you'd vouch for someone. I mean, I think that's kind of how I put all my friendships. So it's if that's the basis of the relationship, that you would literally vouch for the person to anyone, that's going to bring more connections anyway. That's going to self-network, where in networking, the only thing going on is just the networking.
Yep.
You have to go there. No one's going to network for you when you're gone. And I think when you build friendships, they're going to network for you when you're gone.
100%.
Same thing, the amount of times, I'm sure you have looped people into group chats, hey, meet this person.
Every day.
They're the best. I've told you about this person. Hey, this person I was talking about the other night. When it's people you network with, it's I wouldn't do that. I don't trust these people enough. And so that's why I like that you said that. I just stay away from networking, and I think that's cool that your mentor said that, because I think network is so surface level, and some people get so fucking caught up in that world that it's just they don't have any real relationships.
Yep. And I think you nailed it on the head just with that last word. It's a relationship. Is search for a relationship before a network.
I agree. Cool.
Good way to end.
I love how you just know when it's over.